Are you ready to crack the code on closing bigger deals and landing better clients? Welcome to The Closing Code, the podcast for sales pros and agency owners who want to master the art of selling high-ticket digital marketing services. In each episode, your hosts, Clinton James and Josh Konigsberg, bring you real-world strategies, actionable insights, and proven tactics to help you level up your sales game. No fluff, no gimmicks, just the tools you need to win more deals and build a thriving agency. Let's get started.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Closing Code. As always, I am one of your hosts, Clinton James. I'm also the Chief Marketing Officer over at Proven Marketing Solutions.
And I am Josh Konigsberg, partner, co-founder at law firm Marketing Pros. Super excited today. We have a special guest that we're so excited to have join us today. My friend, my brother from another mother, Alex Miranda. Alex, can you take a quick moment and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Josh. Clinton, Alex Miranda here with Virtrify. I do virtual staffing. I find people in Latin America to work for U.S. companies. And obviously, we know why we do that, because it's a lot less expensive. And arguably, they are a better quality workforce.
So I love that. So Alex, really quickly.
Oh, go ahead.
Alex, really quickly, for our audience, we talk specifically to folks that are selling digital marketing services. And you've got a great staffing agency, but I think your journey actually starts with you having a successful digital marketing agency.
That's exactly it. So as a staffing agent, as a digital marketing agency owner, I think most of the people listening to this have virtual staff. Back in 2005, when I started, I built it traditionally, right? There was right here, it was project manager, graphic designer, web developer, 3 graphic designers actually, account manager, and this place was bustling like a cool Google, agency vibe. But in 2008 is when I ran into some financial problems. The IRS was after me for payroll taxes that I wasn't paying.
Oh.
And so my accountant tells me, you know what? Did you know you can hire international people? And this was 2008. And I said, really? So I looked into it, and I could find graphic designers in the Philippines for $5 an hour, as opposed to 25 here. And so I made the switch, like slowly but surely. This went from 12 people down to just 3. And my clients started asking me, hey, how are you doing this with international workers? I know you're not paying them, American prices, Alex. Can you help me find a virtual staff? And I'm sure many digital marketing agency owners on this podcast have probably had that conversation with your clients. Like, dude, you need to be using international workers, right? We're like telling our clients to do this, but it's not that easy. To us, it's easy, but to them, they have no idea how to do it. And so I said, you know what? I need to start a virtual staffing agency to help my very clients. It was actually a next step service. It was do your logo, do your website, and then I would staff you. But staffing is very different. So I had to break it off and start Virtrify.
That makes a lot of sense. Josh, we talk sales here. And I think the reason that you introduced me to Alex is because you've got a rock star member of your sales department that actually came from Alex and Virtrify. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think we now have at Law Firm Marketing Pros 5 or 6 rock star employees from Virtrify. And as the relationship has matured, just like anything else, I think we tried 1 or 2 first, and then we added more and more. Actually, we have our COO is from Virtrify, which is a whole nother conversation. But so as we've expanded our sales, we hired a sales assistant I believe their first sales assistant was was she out of Peru or Colombia? Do you recall, Alex? Doesn't matter.
I
Yeah.
don't recall.
So
Latin
so
America.
so she was Latin American, and she was great, but um, it just wasn't the right fit. And so after about 90 days, we realized, she was nice and she was really, really had a great attitude and really what was anxious to learn and anxious to help. And she listened, but it just wasn't the right fit. So when I approached Alex with her not being the right fit, I said, look, it's just not working out. And he was like, oh yeah, no problem. We'll replace her and we'll take care of everything. So not only did they tell her it wasn't working out, and look, if you follow EOS like many of us do, it's not having the right ass in the right seat. And there's a right seat for her somewhere. And Alex was like, that no problem. We'll find the right seat for her somewhere else. And within hours, I had resumes and videos and bios of 4 more candidates that I started the first thing I do is I want to listen to them for the accent. So I listen to the video. I actually close my eyes and listen for the accent, especially if they're touching clients or potential clients. Within 48 hours, I had an interview, and within 72 hours, I had a new hire for person replaced. And the outgoing person was responsible to train the incoming person, which is
Oh man.
unbelievably amazing to us. So it alleviated so much stress from us on so many levels. And I'll just even take it one level deeper. And if those of us who hire domestically, and I have about 50% of my team is domestic. Some states, it's almost impossible to fire people anymore. The regulations are so onerous that and the paperwork required, certain states, Massachusetts, Illinois, oh my gosh, it's a nightmare. So all of that's gone. Payroll tax issues, all of it's gone. Benefits, gone. And we use a PEO, and that's great, but all of those other headaches that you deal with as a business owner, gone. So that's my experience with a sales rep or a sales assistant, and our next move is going to be for a sales rep.
Yeah, I love that, Josh. Alex, I sell in a very blue collar niche, right? Initially, when I think of hiring an offshore person to insert in my sales cycle, get a little bit of jitters. But the more that we've had conversations about this, the more I realize, the United States, where my clients are, is very heavily Latin populated, right? So it might actually be an asset to have someone that not only speaks English, but also is bilingual. And that would be your team there, right? So tell us a little bit about what you do to make sure you're finding candidates that are bilingual, but can also really comfortably talk to prospects and clients here in the United States.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one of my strategic advantages is that we recruit out of Venezuela. Venezuela is an interesting country because it was populated by Europeans during the oil boom. And so what you have in Venezuela is a very European based society. And that's why the skin color, they're mainly European, like white. And what happens there too is that their parents send their kids off to European colleges or American colleges. The schools over there are all European, Americanized, westernized. So what you have in Venezuela is the opportunity to find not only people that are culturally aligned with the United States, but their accent is is different. I don't know how else to describe it other than it's just a better accent for people that are looking for customer facing speaking roles. But in sales, as we know, there are several roles. There's appointment setters. Well, before that, there's business development people. They don't talk to anyone. They're just on LinkedIn trying to
Sure.
open up connections. So you don't need any English. Appointment setters, okay, for an initial call. And then you have your closer, your strategy session giver kind of person. That one you want a strong English accent. Maybe you even want them to appear lighter. You want them to be women. Like that's what's cool about hiring. Josh, you were talking about all these laws and regulations in the US. With us, we can have common sense hiring, which is, I think a woman would be better at this role, right? If we felt like that was the common sense thing to do. I was like, okay, yeah, because she can speak to this and that, and you can do common sense hiring.
I really like that. You mentioned that there are different placements, right? So you hire for various roles in an agency, especially in the sales department. Before we take a dig deep on the sales side, tell us a little about some of the other roles very quickly that you guys can help an agency with.
Josh was saying we found him a COO. So let's start there. Like a lot of us think we're COOs, right? Maybe three partners start a company together and everyone assigns each other one of those things. But are we really? Like, did we go to school for that? There's people out in Latin America with 20, 30 years experience. Like they went to school for like, this is what they did. And so we have that opportunity to find management people. Like I just hired my CFO and he's in Caracas, Venezuela. Now, could I also get an executive assistant? Yeah, I can get an executive assistant too. So just think of anything between a CFO, C-level, down to an executive assistant and everything in between. Architects, engineers. I know some companies that are listening to this podcast. Maybe you deal in the construction world. Maybe your clients are general contractors. In Venezuela, there's engineers, architects that can work for construction companies that can help, get those plans out faster, right? So there's just everything is out there, man. Everything.
So for digital marketing agencies and our audience, again, since our conversations circle around sales, you've got your agency owners that are still in the seat of closing new business. You've got agency owners that have removed themselves from that seat, but they might have 2 or 3 team members in various portions of the sales cycle there. Talk a little bit about your experience hiring specifically for sales. Like, what do you look for when you're going to Latin America and trying to identify someone that's going to really be able to come into an agency and make an impact on the sales side?
So if we're gonna talk about because again, we had business development.
Okay.
You've got the appointment setter, then you've got the closer. So let's just assume we're gonna start with the closer first. This person would shadow the owner for a while. There would be some training in that. Would see this person doing that, but we would also be looking for a specific personality type. So all of our virtual team members take a personality test. Whatever the personality is for an amazing closer, someone that can really explain a strategy, a program overview very well, and can follow the instructions of handling objections, there's a certain personality, there's a certain disc assessment for that. Okay. What we do is we find those people because a lot of people don't know that they can be great salespeople. They didn't know it, but you have the right personality for sales. You've got the right look and you've got a great accent. Have you considered sales? This is how we approach.
Right.
In Latin America, we're an employment agency, Clinton. So think of an employment agency. You sit down in front of a guy or a headhunter recruiter and like, okay, here's my resume. That person, if they're really good, which we are, we're actually coaching them into a position. They may have gone to school thinking that they were going to be in marketing, right? A lot of guys in FIU graduate with a marketing degree, and then all of a sudden you're a pharmaceutical salesman at Medtronic. I didn't know I was
That's very accurate, Alex. Very accurate.
So you got to find, so we do personality-based hiring and coaching on that end because someone with the right personality can be an amazing executive assistant, can be an amazing salesperson. So that's how we're finding them out there and then bringing you opportunities of people that may not have had experience selling, but common sense tells us that if their personality matches, then they can be coached to that quickly.
Yeah. Josh coaches, mentors, and has probably hired more salespeople than I ever will in my lifetime. Josh, you subscribe to that same theory, right? It's not about the sales experience; it's about the right person that's going to do a good
Yeah,
job
with a
selling.
couple minor exceptions. So I just want to touch on a question for Alex, and then I can come back to that. So Alex, you've not only had the role of being the sales person for your own digital marketing agency, right? And I believe you're still doing some of that now, or for your agency, do you still have a rep working for you? Do you have a rep working for you, or are you making the sales?
I have a rep for my digital
Right,
marketing agency. He handles
right.
everything A
But
to Z.
you started it and trained him, right? Right, got it. And same thing
Yes,
for
sir.
Virtrify. So you've got a team on the ground in South America recruiting, but also selling for you.
One person now we've just brought on to start selling because, as everybody on this podcast knows, it's the most difficult position to let go of for a business owner. And I am no different than you guys. So I myself have trouble letting go of that position. I love it. What the heck?
Yeah,
I love doing it.
it's my favorite part of this, right?
Yeah,
Disposing new business.
I get to learn about new companies and meet new people. But you got to do it if you want to scale and
Right.
grow.
So with regard to the coaching, and one of the things we've discussed, which I think we're going to talk about in a later episode, is we all continue to learn, right? Even at my ripe old age, I'm still learning things about sales that I wish I knew 30 years ago. So as part of the training that you do, is there an opportunity? Let's just say I'm an agency and I'm listening to this. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call this guy Alex. I want to learn more about this, and I think I'm going to hire somebody. So, is there an opportunity, do you think, for ongoing sales beyond what you're providing?
I w- we have a basic training program that our virtual team members go through. The first one is the one every single person takes, from a COO down to an executive assistant, which is, how the heck do you be an amazing and effective remote worker? Let's just
Great
start there.
question, right?
Communication, workstation, lighting, everything to be a remote worker needs to be taught to someone that's going to be a remote worker. And all the basic tools, ChatGPT, Google, etc. Now, when you become specialized into a certain role, now you're going into digital marketing agency sales training. That's a very basic course that all of our people go through when they're going to enter a digital marketing agency. What we do is we partner with our clients, like yourself, Josh, and we challenge you guys to create a sales training university. That's an LFMP sales training university, because you do it different than
Sure.
Clinton, than Josh, than Jaime. Like, everybody has their little tweak. You're all digital marketing agencies, but talking to a lawyer is different than talking to a water restoration owner. So Josh has the honus of creating a lawyer sales training university. And we come alongside of you to help you create that, because if you don't create it, then you're going to fire our person and we all
Right.
lose.
Right. That's right.
So we got to come alongside of you to create that university, which gets created as you go. It's just, as you start to train and as you start to have those Zoom calls and you're recording calls, uh, what's cool now is there's all these AI tools that are coming out now for onboarding, training, and coaching in sales. That's a lot of fun when our clients start to buy into those and they invest in those for their sales teams. It's game over.
Love it.
So, for our audience, if you're listening right now, you're an agency owner, you're trying to get out of the sales seat, reach out to Alex and the team over at Virtrify. Doesn't really matter what role you're looking for, but since we talk sales on this podcast, if you need an appointment setter, if you need a business development rep, or if you're ultimately looking to really get out of the seat of doing sales on a day-to-day basis, Alex and his team can help you. Alex, to piggyback on what Josh mentioned about coaching and training. So, in my experience, masterminding and spending time with a bunch of other agency owners, some of them reluctantly eventually get out of that sales seat and they hire and fill that role. But the reason they got out of that sales seat is because they wanted to focus on the entire business, right? The financial component, the fulfillment component. And what I see far too often is the sales rep, whether it's somebody that you guys placed or somebody that they hired on their own, after that initial sales training, there's no ongoing coaching and development, right? So talk a little bit, because You obviously employ one of these folks that's actually selling for you. What kind of ongoing coaching and development are you doing with your sales team member?
On our end, we have ongoing and development that is across the board.
Okay.
For example, when ChatGPT came out, everybody was required to jump on a webinar, a 3-part webinar to learn ChatGPT. So what we offer our people are trainings uh, that are going to help them with new tools,
Awesome.
okay, across the board. Um, However, when it comes to the actual company itself, all we can be on our end is the same of what an HR department would say. The HR department would come and say, "Hey, sales manager, owner, um, it's probably a good idea if you check in on your salesperson once a week or twice a week, and you have a huddle on a Monday and then our debrief on a Friday, and maybe a little coaching seminar, powwow, something." The HR team might receive a complaint. We've received this, not from Josh's people, but there was another company that the virtual team member said, "I don't feel like I'm a part of the team. I don't feel like part of the culture. They ignore me. When I want help, they don't give it to me because they're too busy." So they're telling us, right? I'm the HR department, right? I take that beating on my end. But then I turn around and I say, "Okay, hey," and I approach the client now not from a negative perspective, but from a positive, constructive place. "Hey, let's work on something here. What if we did this for a culture exercise? What if?" So this is a two-way
Yeah,
relationship here.
I get it.
The client um, needs to continue to provide that coaching
Yeah.
service. Now, if there existed, if there was a platform, a university called Digital Marketing Sales Training University, whatever, I would suggest that the client buy that service for their team.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I'm thinking is, we're cooks in the kitchen here right now, right? We've identified a problem is that when these owners get out of the sales seat and they hand that responsibility over to somebody else, they just don't have time to do the ongoing coaching, development, and training to make sure that that rep not only does a decent job, but becomes a rock star when it comes to actually closing new business for them. So Alex, we're gonna go to the lightning round. Have Josh give you some great questions here, but before we do that, we need to take a minute to hear from one of our sponsors. So
Running an agency is demanding, and as you know, the process of interviewing, hiring, and training new team members is both time consuming and costly. It can even hold back your agency's growth. We have found a game changing solution in a company called Virtrify. Just like cracking the code to closing deals, finding the right talent is essential to your success. Virtrify partners with digital marketing agency owners to help them scale faster by providing bilingual appointment centers and salespeople from Latin America. As an agency owner, your time is best spent growing the business, not getting stuck in the process of hiring and training. Virtrify's staffing solution frees you up from those time-consuming tasks so you can focus on scaling. Ready to delegate and grow? Visit virtrify.com/closing code to find pre-trained salespeople who are experts in the closing code way. Let's build your high-performance sales team together. Great. We're back once again with Alex Miranda from Virtrify. Alex, we're going to jump into what is my favorite part of all of the podcasts. It's called the lightning round. But before we do, I have just one more question, and that is, if someone were to reach out to you, what's the roadmap look like? Like, what does it look like? Yeah, Alex, I'm interested in a sales assistant, or I'm interested in a sales rep. Can you describe to our listeners what does that look like to them? The process.
Yeah, well, if it's a digital marketing agency, it's sped up a lot because I don't have to learn about the industry because I was one. So I already have all of that. In fact, most of my clients are digital marketing agencies. So it's really a matter of, what do you need? An account manager? Do you need
Let's say
a
it's a
business
sales rep,
development? Do you need a project manager? Do you
closer.
need a
I'm looking for a
sales rep?
closer. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, good. Well, in 3 days, I'm having a candidate presentation to you, and I'm showing you on video your 3 people that you have available to you to interview. Then on that call, you'll hear about our company and our program overview, and then you'll say, "I want to interview Carlos and
What
Maria,"
does that cost me?
and nothing. We don't have an onboarding. We don't have a fee for this part
Okay.
of it. So you're interviewing, you're looking, you like Carlos, great. Your fee starts the moment you want to lock Carlos in. Carlos might not start till next month, but you got to pay now for Carlos so that we take Carlos off the market,
Fair.
because Carlos is in a
Yeah,
free
that's
market
fair.
right now
Yeah.
and he can still be interviewing. So at that point, you'll pay for Carlos. But we're going to get started on creating the training university. We have a platform where your learning management system will start. Carlos will start to learn about your company. Um, you'll be given a 90-day onboarding plan. So we already know how the first 90 days look, because we've already done this. So we already know how it looks. Your account manager will have a kickoff call with you, and Carlos is off to the races. And for the first 90 days, we're there. Because again, we need this to work. Because if it doesn't work, then we're out of money, you're out of a salesperson, and they're out of a job. So we're really highly invested in those first 90 days to make sure this is a success.
So the audience understands, if I were to hire Carlos, I pay you and you pay Carlos a base. Let's just say that there's a base salary and then a commission, but it's all paid to Virtrify and you take care of the rest. So give me a range for Carlos? What would it cost me as a base salary? And I know that the commissions are all over the place depending on the niche. So I've had this conversation multiple,
Yeah,
but what would a base be for somebody like Carlos?
2,500 a month. Let's just say a base salary of
And
2,500 a month.
And that's capable of
Yeah.
selling professionals like plastic surgeons, dentists, attorneys?
Yeah, they could sell anything at that point. And then, as you were just mentioning, having a really cool bonus structure, commission structure, obviously is something that's going to incentivize people, and you want to be able to develop that with
So
them.
really,
And that's a huge savings versus hiring somebody here in the
amazing.
US.
Yeah, and the commission structure would probably have to be less too because the cost of living is so much less. So what I just heard.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and wait, and sometimes people ask Josh, okay, 2,500, like plus your fee. No, I'm already in that 2,500.
So what you just described to me is really not a vendor relationship. It's a partnership in placement of critical staff members, taking so much off of my plate. I mean, and at a substantial discount. So it's not just the financial savings as a digital marketing agency owner, right? It's so much more than that, right?
It's You're not saying it, but I'm gonna say it. There are digital marketing agency owners that are trying to do this themselves. They're trying to find staff themselves. So they themselves are running their own HR department, their own Virtrify within their company. And because they think that they can save that percentage that would go to me. The issue is, the big issue is the inefficiency that creates when someone wants to leave.
Hmm.
And that's the problem here. And so if you want to run your own HR department and start, you're going to pay everyone on PayPal or whatever, however their country gets paid, and you want to figure it out, awesome. But when you get burned a bunch of times, you realize it's just not worth it.
That's crazy. That's why we tell our clients, don't do your own digital marketing. Go out and hire somebody that knows how to do it effectively. You're going to get a much better return on investment. So if you need these kind of services, that's why you go to Alex. That's why you go to the guys over at Virtrify.
It's a bad time trade. That's how I look at it. So
Yeah, but I did it in my digital marketing agency. I hired my own people, found them, friend of a friend, right? When you find one virtual person, their cousin wants to join the company, and then their uncle, and the guy that, so then all of a sudden you find yourself as a friggin' virtual staffing agency. And it's cool, it works. Probably a lot of people, it's working
Great.
out. Awesome, amazing. But when you're scaling and growing fast, you need this kind of service to be able to support that scaling
Oh,
and growth.
okay. So now it's time to move on to the lightning round. This is where people get to know, like, and trust you, Alex. So we're going to ask you some questions, and just just whatever comes off the top of your head for the answer is fine. It's just a lot of fun, kind of lighten things up a little bit. So, what never fails to make you laugh?
The Office.
Love it. Love it.
Oh my gosh, I watch it at like 11 o'clock at night. I just bust out laughing, and my wife's like, "Shh, the kids are sleeping," and I've watched that episode already.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's
The
great.
Office.
All right. Best compliment you ever got?
People loved my suit this weekend. I had
I
this
loved it. I
green,
loved it, man.
like,
Yeah.
I love, I'm telling you, I am feeling good, man. And that suit, bro, was just so like, I knew I was gonna crush it, man. So I felt really good about getting complimented about how my outfit.
Great. All right. So, person that you would trade places with for one day.
I think it would be fun to be Donald Trump for a day. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think it would be cool to see the crap
Okay.
that uh that he has to
Yeah.
deal with.
Interesting. A lot of challenges for sure. So, what is the one guilty pleasure you have that helps you unwind after a very stressful day?
I bought this protein cereal called Magic Spoon. It's expensive, but it's protein, so I kind of feel like it's not bad. Like it's not Captain Crunch.
Wait, it's called Magic
So
Spoon? That
Magic
sounds like
Spoon
something else other than a cereal.
is this great. Magic Spoon is a brand of cereal that is high protein based, but they're very sweet still. So, yeah, that's my guilty pleasure, and it's probably why I don't have a six pack.
Okay. All right. So, what's the worst piece of advice you ever got?
Um, to shut down my
Okay.
business.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, because it's in the journey that we really learn, and it's in breaking through to that next, to pass that crap that you really
Love it.
learn. So keep on going.
What is one thing that you wish you were better at dealing with?
I wish I was better at um Facebook ads. I don't know I know you meant dealing with as a challenge. But I'm gonna change the question to I wish I was better at marketing. Um, you
Wow.
know, lead
Okay.
generation.
We can have
Yeah.
that conversation. Um, what is the one book that changed your life? I think I know the answer.
You're gonna think it was the Bible, and it certainly has and continues to transform my life. However, there was a precursor to the Bible called The Secret, which is almost anti-biblical in and of itself. But The Secret was a book that opened me up to the fact that there is a power out there that can be tapped into. And of course, eventually someone explained to me where that power was from and the source of that power. And so then I just went to the Bible, the source of it. But I can't, I got to give credit to where
Yeah,
credit is
right.
due. And it was The Secret that started me on this
Okay.
journey.
So, what is your favorite success mantra or quote?
For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for you to prosper. Because if we believe that as Judeo-Christians, if we believe this, what it means is that there is a plan that was already created, and that our job here is just to align to it, to uncover it, discover it, and live in it. And those of us that have are experiencing happiness and purpose and joy, even in the shit.
Right. Yeah,
Well
that's
said.
beautiful. All right, almost done here. Just to lighten it up a little bit, what's your favorite childhood movie?
The Goonies.
Okay.
Classic.
And what is one thing most people don't know about you?
They don't know that I was born in Germany.
There you go. Interesting. Okay.
I am Puerto Rican. My parents are Puerto Rican. However, they moved to Germany for the army. A lot of us were born in Germany in the 80s. So yeah. Well, am I German? No. Do I have a German passport? No, but I
There
was
you go.
born there. I don't speak it
Okay.
though.
All right. So can you tell the listeners out there what's the best way for them to reach you if they're interested in learning more about Virtrify and hiring some sales team members, whether it be an appointment setter, assistant, or a closer?
Yeah, I think we're going, well, Virtrify.com is my website. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm Alex Miranda from Virtrify. So yeah, and then of course I think we're going to be doing something together that's cool. That people can go to a very specific page where we talk about sales people for digital marketing agencies.
You're absolutely right, Alex. We're going to drop a link to that in the episode show notes. So guys, check the show notes, check the podcast description. You'll find a link to Alex's website, starring two guys you might recognize, myself and Josh. So Alex, we really want to thank you for giving us so much time today. It was great learning about you, Virtrify, your business, and also I like the fact that you got a little sales guy in you. I appreciate that.
Alex, it's been great having you. I can't wait to see how wonderfully successful incredibly successful that Virtrify is the direction you're heading in. It's just been a tremendous journey thus far, and I know you're just going to crush it. To all our listeners out there, thanks again. Really appreciate you listening in today, and that's a wrap.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to the podcast for more straight shooting advice on closing deals that matter. Unlock the code, close the deal, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Closing Code Podcast.